All right, so number 16, we have a square root with this. So to get the square root alone, we want to get rid of the minus 3, so I just add 3 to each side. So I have 4 square roots of x equals 3. So now I'm going to divide it by 4 just to get my square root all alone. So I have the square root of x equals 3/4. So now to get rid of the square root, we're just going to square each side. So 3 squared is 9, 4 squared is 16, and that's my answer. All right, number 16. Number 17, we want to get our square root stuff alone. So I minus the, well, I'm going to add this over just so that it's a positive and I don't have to deal with the negatives. So I add that over. So I now have 2x equals the square root of 15 minus 4x. So now I'm going to square each side. So I square this and I square this. So 2 squared is 4 and x squared is x squared equals 15 minus 4x. So now I want to get it equal to 0. So I add 4x and I minus 15. So I add 4x and I minus 15. So I now have 4x squared plus 4x minus 15 equals 0. So I know that this will factor. You can do the little box. I have 4x squared and negative 15, and that makes negative 60x squared. So what multiplies to be negative 60 and adds to be 4, negative 6 and positive 10. So that's 2x, and that's 2x, and that's negative 3, and that's plus 5. So this factors to be 2x minus 3 and 2x plus 5. So when I solve these, I put each of these equal to 0. Then I'm going to add 3. And I have 2x equals 3, divide it by 2. So x equals 3 halves. Then I minus the 5. So 2x equals negative 5, divided by 2. And x equals negative 5 halves. And you're feeling really good about yourself because you have 2 answers. Life's good. But when you plug these back in, so 2 times negative 5 halves, the 2's cancel, I'm left with negative 5. Negative 4 times negative 5 halves, negative times a negative makes a positive, so 4 times 5 is 20, divided by 2 is 10, so 15 plus 10 makes the square root of 25, which is 5. So I have negative 5 minus 5, which makes negative 10, not 0. So that means that negative 5 halves didn't work. So then I plug in 3 halves. 2 times 3 halves is 2, meaning it's 3. I plug 3 halves in here. 4 times 3 is 12, divided by 2 is 6. So 15 minus 6 is 9, and the square root of 9 is 3. So I have 3 minus 3 is 0, so this one works. So x equals 3 halves is my only solution. So make sure you plug them back in, okay? Otherwise, you'll get some of it wrong. On number 18, it has an absolute value. So that means I need 2 problems, a positive case and a negative case. So now I've got my positive case, my negative case. I just go ahead and solve it. So 3x equals 5. Divide it by 3, and x equals 5/3. Now I do the negative case. I minus the 2. 3x equals negative 9. Divide it by 3. X equals negative 3. So this one has an inequality, so we want to just solve it. So I subtract 4 from each side, minus the 3x over to here. Oh, that didn't do me any good because now everything's on the same side. So I minus the 6x from each side. So I have negative 3x is less than 9. Divide it by negative 3. So x is greater than or equal to negative 3. So if you write it one way, you could write bracket negative 3 to infinity with a parenthesis. If I put it on a number line, I could do filled in circle, negative 3. I could do number line, negative 3. bracket, squiggles that way forever. So all of those are correct. I'll accept any of those on the test. So however you want to do them. Number 20, I'm going to multiply everything by -2. So realize when I multiply by -2, my inequality is going to switch because you multiply by a negative. So then I minus 3, minus 3, minus 3. So -3 is greater than or equal to x, which is greater than or equal to -13. So you could put it on a number line, -13, -3. So this says -3 is bigger than x. So that means x is smaller than -3. And this one says x is bigger than -13. So that means I'm in between here. I can use brackets. I could use filled in circles, squiggles, and that's my answer. 21, same thing, absolute value. I'm going to minus the 7. So I have 2. 5 minus 3x is less than or equal to 14. Divide it by 2. 5 minus 3x is less than or equal to 7. Minus the 5. So I have -3x is less than or equal to 2. Divide it by -3. And x is greater than or equal to -2/3. That was just the positive case. Okay, so I'm going to come right here where I had 5 minus 3x, and I'm going to do the negative case. So x is greater than -7. So I took the inside stuff, and I just do the positive case with this. Well, I did the positive case, now I'm doing the negative case. So I'm going to minus the 5, minus the 5. -3x is greater than or equal to -12. Divide it by -3, and x is less than or equal to 4. So those are my answers. If I put it on a number line, -2/3 is here, 4 is here, less than 4 goes this way, greater than or equal to -2/3 goes this way, or I could use brackets, or I could even write it in brackets this way, -2/3 and 4. So any of those are my answer. All of those will work. They're all great.